It's no surprise that Italian food is some of the best food served throughout the world. It's enriched with flavors, beauty, and it just tastes so awesome. From great, numerous pasta dishes to chicken dishes to seafood, fish, you name it, that Italian flair is the tops. So what am I getting at in today's video? Well, I'm going to be making my version of chicken cacciatore. But before we dive in, remember to sub up and ring that bell notification down below for more awesome videos coming your way. And welcome to the OceanState Cuisine. Let's dive in and give this recipe a look. So before I get cooking here, we're going to go over some of the ingredients used in today's recipe. So for the chicken, I have 2 chicken thighs. And then below that, I have 1 or 2 chicken breasts. Now these are boneless, skinless breasts. I do recommend when you're making chicken cacciatore to use more of a dark meat. But this is all I had in the house at the time when it came to chicken. The darker meat, especially with the skin on it, just gives it a really great flavor. The breast meat's good, but it's a little more on the drier side. And then next to that on the right, I got 1 large potato. Now again, I'm just making this for myself, but I actually got a couple of servings out of it. I have next to that a green and a yellow bell pepper. And then behind this, on the left, I have a large scallion. Then I have some Italian seasoning. I have some garlic powder, some parsley, some salt, some pepper, and I'm using this jar sauce. You can use a homemade sauce if you wish, and I will provide in the description panel of today's video my homemade sauce. But keep in mind the sauce that I make is a meat sauce. And sometimes I use wine in this recipe, and what's great about this recipe, because it's chicken but it's with a red stock sauce, you could use either red or white. But seeing I didn't have any wine when I went to make today's recipe, I ended up skipping that part. But now if you do want to use wine, I will let you know at that time of the video when I would use it and about how much. So now first I'm going to start cutting up my peppers. So I washed them and I cleaned out the insides, and I'm going to get ready to cut these up into chunks. Peppers is what really makes chicken cacciatore what it is. Same with American chop suey. Without the peppers, it's really not American chop suey. So like I said, nothing fancy here. I'm just going to cut these up into bite-sized chunks. Now, a piece of advice when you're cutting peppers, I usually like to cut the pepper from the inside. It has more of a grip for the knife blade. If you try to do it on the outside of the pepper on that smooth, shiny surface, your knife could slip. Just a little piece of advice. And that's about it when it comes to cutting up our peppers. Now time to work with the shallot. Now this is a large shallot, so I'm not going to use the whole thing. So first, obviously, I'm going to take off the paper or the skin on the outside. And then I'm going to start to dice this up. Shallots have a nice flavor. It's got just a tin of garlic, and it's got more of a mild onion flavor. And so now again, I'm just going to cut it up and then dice it up. And then next is the potato. So I'm going to leave the skin on. I like the vitamins in the skin, plus the taste. And I'm just going to cut these up into like nice sized cubes. Just as we see right here. Potatoes is one of the main ingredients when it comes to chicken cacciatore. And again, I'm going for bite-sized cubes of chunks. Again, you may have to use more potatoes depending on how many people you're actually making this for. But we could see that 1 potato goes pretty far. Now next, I'm going to get my large skillet that I've had for like 50 years. And we're going to heat this up to about a medium to a medium high heat. We want a pretty good heat here, but yet not too high. And with this, I'm going to add some vegetable oil. So I'm going to add maybe about 1/4 inch to about 1/2 inch of vegetable oil. Now, if the oil is still pretty clean when you're all done cooking the chicken, I just pour the rest of the oil in the fryer later. And now while this is heating up, in the meantime, I'm going to prepare the chicken. So what I want to do is that I'm going to wash the chicken, then I'm going to blot it down with some paper towel, make sure that it's nice and dry because it's going to be going into hot oil. And then we're going to season it. So for the seasoning, I'm just going to use salt, pepper, and some garlic powder. And you also want to season both sides of the chicken. And then I just pat it into the meat. I also speed up some of the segments, just not to waste too much time. Okay, now it's time to add the chicken to the pan. So we're gonna go with the thighs, because these are thighs with skin. I'm gonna put the skin side down first. And with these breasts, again, they're skinless breasts, so it doesn't really matter. And you wanna hear that nice sizzle sound. And to not make a mess out of my stove, I got this splatter screen. And you want to cook these about maybe 5 to maybe 8 minutes per side. Just kind of lift it up a bit with some tongs, give it a look, see how it looks, and let it keep cooking so you get that nice crisp exterior with that nice light brown. Of course, once we put it in the casserole with the sauce, it's going to soften back up, but it won't be like flubbery. This makes it taste really good, plus the chicken doesn't have to cook as long now in the oven. And then we're going to flip the chicken over. We're going to do the same to the other side, about another 5 to 8 minutes, and you're pretty much done. Or I should say the chicken's pretty much done. Okay, that chicken looks awesome. So now we're going to start putting this together in the casserole dish. And again, I say we, because we're cooking together. But now, because these breasts that I'm using is skinless and they're boneless, I cut these up into nice sized chunks. But again, I do recommend using chicken with the skin on it. It makes the chicken taste so good and a lot more tender and juicy. Now we could see that the chicken is not fully cooked, but that's no problem because it's still going to go in the oven for a while. And then I'm going to remove all the chicken. I should have actually done this first and spray the casserole dish with some cooking spray. Now we're going to start building this in layers. So first I put in some potatoes and some peppers. This keeps the chicken from sticking to the bottom of the dish or the pan. And we're just going to keep adding the layers like this. Then we're finally going to top it off with the chopped up shallots. And then to give the shallots and the peppers and stuff a little bit of seasoning, I'm going to add some salt, some pepper, and some Italian seasoning. I'm not adding a lot of Italian seasoning, maybe about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. And then we're going to top this all off with the sauce. So again, you could use a jar sauce like I am. You could use a homemade sauce. That choice is totally up to you. The reason why I'm not using a lot of seasonings in this is because the sauce is also flavored. Now, if you wanted to add some wine, you could add it now. You know, add a little bit of wine. I would say maybe about a half a cup. Just pour it in there. And when it's cooking in the oven, that's going to cook off the alcohol and give it a great flavor. And just so that the sauce blends and kind of coats everything, I'm adding a little bit of water to it and I'm mixing it about. Then I'm going to top it with some dry parsley flakes. And now we're going to cover it with some aluminum foil. And in the oven it goes. So now for the cooking time, I'm going to be cooking this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour or so. What you want to do is take it out later on and check the potatoes and the peppers to see how tender they are. And because the chicken's been partially cooked already, the chicken should pretty much be done. You could even test the chicken, see how tender it is, and just base your cooking time on that. Okay, now after some time, I'd say maybe about 40 minutes, I took this out of the oven just to check it. And we could see that the chicken and the potatoes are still not fully cooked. The chicken is not tender yet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese to the top of this now. We're going to put the aluminum foil back on it and we're going to put it back into the oven. And I'm going to check it in about another 20 minutes. Okay, so after about an hour and 10 minutes, this is what we got. We're going to notice now that the potatoes are nice and tender and the chicken is pretty much falling apart. This looks amazing. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add more Parmesan cheese. And I think I did forget to show you guys this at the start of the video, but I also decided to top it off with some scallions. Now I didn't do it here, I actually forgot, but I like to sprinkle the top too with some olive oil. And we want to keep our oven on because now we're going to be putting it back into the oven uncovered. To kind of give everything a nice brown, it thickens up the sauce a little more, and makes it taste really good. So after about 15 to 20 minutes more in the oven uncovered, this is the final product. This is our chicken cacciatore. Now it's time to plate it up and take a look at that. So the total cooking time in the oven was about an hour and a half. And again on 350 degrees. So on the side of this, I got some nice hard crust Italian bread with some butter. And you don't need a side dish. Everything's in this casserole. So anyways, folks, give this recipe a try. I think you will definitely like it. Thank you so much for watching the OceanState Cuisine. So you guys have a great day, happy eats, and we'll catch you the next time.